Recording in progress.
6 o'clock on the dot. Ready? Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, hold on. Then what I did to get home. Oh, that's it?
No.
Oh, I didn't even join in yet?
I'm gonna
There we go.
gonna let them in. And we just wanna.
Okay, good.
This is saying it's being recorded, so we're gonna exit this.
Moving slow, isn't it? Maybe the battery's way down.
Yeah, then hit got it.
Thank you.
And then just hit continue. Okay.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Silent intention.
Kind of reflecting on my computer. That's good.
Good evening, everybody. As you can see, the mayor is not here. The mayor is in Saratoga at a NICOM meeting. I have some announcements from her. The mayor's announcements for September 20th. Burned area is now starting construction. This is a corporate-owned business, so I feel they will be professional working with us, and we welcome them to Endicott. The Washington Avenue Revitalization project is progressing. Some street designs are now on the website. We will also have drawings on display in the rotunda, so people can see them in person, along with the parking lot and alley. Forms will be available for people to add comments or ideas. We want to work together on this exciting project. Cameras are planned for the avenue as well as free Wi-Fi. This would be great for cafes, etc. Safety was the #1 concern for many people we have talked to. Also, cameras from the parking lot and alley. Additional cameras are under discussion for other parts of the village as well as other uses. We are getting ready to apply for another DRI grant. This is only the beginning stages, so we are not at liberty to give out more information at this time. The Water Board is finishing many projects. I submitted their meeting minutes to the village website for the future. They will be recommending a monetary amount to charge for future capital projects so we can plan on the major upgrades needed to repair our aging infrastructure and purchase the necessary filters for the rainy well, as well as drilling for a second well. Channel 12 came to the Water Department to explain flushing. Communication is important. Our code committee is now started. We have many projects to research. Anyone with ideas, please contact my office. My State of the Village message is now on the village website. This way I can keep our residents up to date on all the progress in the village. I want to thank James, Sterling, and Teresa with the organization Achieve for volunteering with the landscaping here at the municipal building. We have more projects planned. The steam noise from here on was deafening. With the reduced manufacturing load, the campus requires less steam. Originally, a steam-driven chiller turbine had to be taken out of the building by a crane and sent away to be repaired. It is a difficult job, and few places can handle this work. Huron is still waiting for the turbine to be returned. Parts are hard to get. There is no estimate on the completion date. A muffler install on the steam vent to help with this noise had to be bypassed during other building maintenance work. Rerouting the steam venting back through the muffler again and will reduce the noise. I feel better communication is needed. Huron gets so wrapped up in trying to fix the problem that they did not think to call the village. When we contacted them, they answered us immediately. We just need more advance notice on problems so we can have the answers. I'm working on this now. FYI, We already have a noise ordinance. We also have a nuisance law. In situations between neighbors without witnesses willing to sign a complaint, there is no way for the police to enforce any violations unless they happen to hear it themselves in person. We can make all kinds of laws, but if they are not enforceable or not even legal, they do not help. I attended a meeting with Broome County Executive Jason Garner. He was happy to talk about the new school bus stop arm camera. It has already made a difference with cars passing stopped school buses. The county had initiated new DWI programs, and there will be housing for the homeless veterans and help funding service dogs. Amazon and FedEx are locating in Broome County. There will be a dog park at Otsenango. Renovations are planned for Griffin Park, and we have a new director of emergency services at Dewey. Okay. Did my comment? Or that's the mayor's thing. I'll say some more from her later. Pat, you got anything?
Yes, I got a few.
Okay.
Number one, I want to congratulate the planning, zoning boards for allowing Dairy to come, the last hurdle to go through. Same with the Altura project. I believe we'll be voting on that in a couple of weeks. So, like we've previously said, we're trying to change the perception that we're anti-business. We're trying to set a climate for businesses to come to Endicott, and so far it's been very positive. I want to comment about here on campus. Couldn't believe what I heard Friday night when I came home with the noise that was going on. There were calls made to Chris Peltos. And my concern is we definitely want their business to thrive. We also want them to be a good neighbor. And since I've become a trustee, I've noticed their buildings have been falling apart. I understand that whether one of their turbines has fallen apart due to possibly a lack of attention, and to put the village through what they went through for all day Friday and night was pretty bad. So I've also had people come up to me about the condition of the overpass, McKinley Avenue. So things are falling on cars. I'm not sure if those people have reported it, but I drove under it. I drive under it daily, and I drive by pretty quick so I can miss any concrete debris that might fall. So I think they need to take more attention to upkeep of their buildings, the eyesores that are now present in the village, and also the condition. They did fix the condition of that building on the corner of Oak Hill Avenue and Franklin. It was a problem for months. That got fixed, but it still looks terrible. So maybe they're in money straits, but that's not our problem. It's their problem. And lastly, I just wanted to give a shout out. I was approached by some Rotary Club members a couple weeks ago at the Gusto event. They said that the Rotary Club spent a Saturday, I don't know if it was 20 people on a Saturday, weed whack some of the parking lots, and they never got a thank you from anybody at the village. So that's what I want to do tonight, is to thank them verbally. Maybe we could put some sort of thank you document together and send it to the local president. So
You never got a letter from the mayor?
no, nobody. Maybe we as a board should do something. I asked.
We'll write that down.
Pardon me?
We'll write that down.
And our Sertoma Club, our Endicott Sertoma Club, made a donation of $250 for the arch. It's maybe a touchy subject to ask, but should the village be soliciting monies for village activities that they should be paying for or not.
No village official should be soliciting donations or gifts.
Nobody did.
Monica did go, yeah.
Donations for what, Pat?
The post activities at the visitor center donated $250, and I'm thinking, isn't that our responsibility? We're putting on a village event and asking the taxpayers or clubs to pay for that. So I'm not, they said, well, we gladly gave it, but I just thought,
The money was for the expenses that we had for the lights and whatnot going on. And we appreciate that.
okay.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
The money helped offset the cost for the lights and the ceremony.
Bob, you said we can't solicit those funds?
That's correct.
We've always solicited.
Always done it, doesn't mean. Oh,
It's done. Didn't know.
I knew that was causing a little stir, but I'm just, for future reference, I just wanted
Right?
so the lesson there is just because we've always done it doesn't mean it's legal.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah, I do have a couple things. One is, we have this packet of paper here in front of us, about 20 pages on noise ordinance. What, is this from, who's this from?
Linda left that for you.
Linda left it. And what is it she wants us to do with it?
This is the noise ordinance that's already in place.
Yeah, but what is why did she give it to us?
Showing it to you. That does indeed exist.
It exists, but it's probably a lot of it's on. Maybe you could address that, maybe, Bob, if you've even read it, I don't know.
Yes, I'm familiar with the noise ordinance. We do have this law in place, section 300-50, deals with noise in the village. It sets decibel
Yep.
meter limits or decibel limits, depending on location, and it's enforceable.
It is enforceable?
It's an enforceable law, yes.
Enforceable as far as it goes, anyway.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, right.
And I understand this thing at Huron last Friday was a accident. They obviously didn't do that on purpose. It's a very big complex. The machinery there, very unique. You can't just go down to the Home Depot and find parts for it. So they did fix it, I think, within one day. I drove down there Thursday night when it first started, the real loud noise. And they were there with two cars shining their lights on it so the guys could see what they were doing. So they were, I don't know if they worked all night, but it didn't get fixed overnight, but then it got fixed the next day. So I talked to different people, Nick and Pat, and we were, and you probably were too, Eileen, bombarded with phone calls and emails that day. It was so loud.
Really? How's other than on Facebook?
Gosh. It was ridiculous. There was so many Facebook posts and emails, texts, and people were really, really upset over it. But anyway, I think what we should maybe do is look into this noise ordinance. The noise ordinance would not have done anything for this type of issue, I don't think. And I don't know whether it really should have either. But we did have people come here 5 or 6 weeks ago that different people from different parts of town, by coincidence, and they were complaining about their neighbors making a lot of noise with music and all kinds of things that very difficult for the police to deal with unless certain circumstances happen. But there's motorcycles noise, automobile noise, so maybe that's something we definitely should look at. The code committee that you read about what Linda said, now that's a mayor committee, right? That's not an official board advisory committee. You don't know the difference.
I just read it.
She doesn't know the difference. Okay, so that's a mayor committee. A board advisory committee would have to be set up by the board and official.
I realize the difference. I'm just reading her.
So it was never set up by us, so it has to be a mayor's committee. I know, because we've never set it up. So that's a mayor's committee, the code committee, just for the people that know the difference, just so they understand that. And I would like to also say welcome to Berndera. I think is it complete, 100% complete?
All the,
There's still something more to do.
the thing I have still, pending is the tobacco license. So once I get every response in, we can move forward with that.
I think that's very commendable that they would choose Endicott as a place to move to. They had a lot of other choices, I'm sure. We did not solicit them. They picked us. I'm sure there was a realtor that solicited them, but we didn't. Also, I'd like to say the same thing Pat just said. Thank you very much for Rotary. I think they did a couple parking lots. Thank you to Anthony for getting the rest of everything, all the weeds done on the avenue. We know the issues involved in why the weeds haven't been cut for 6 or 8 years, but we are working on that. And I did want to bring up one last thing, just so people on the board even know what's going on. Otherwise, if I don't bring this up, nobody would know this. But I came down to the village today. We have a Washington Avenue Revitalization Committee working on the biggest project in Endicott's history, $6 million project. This was a board advisory committee, Washington Avenue Revitalization Committee. It was set up by the board. They've met probably every 2 weeks, 3 weeks for about 6 months. There's 17 people on that committee. And they've discussed very methodically with our engineer architect company, who we are paying $400,000 to do the work, and they're doing an excellent job. But the mayor, when I came down to the village today, I saw out in the rotunda, apparently the mayor has gone and put different pictures up around the rotunda and different maps, and there's one map that's hand done with crayons, colored in with crayons. And there was a Channel 34 was here doing an interview. Well, apparently the mayor had called the TV stations, did some kind of report this morning, asked a public citizen to stand in for her and speak to the TV stations about the Washington Avenue Revitalization Project. Matt White was the person. He's not on the Revitalization Committee. Nobody on this board has even met him, as far as I know.
I have.
Good. He was asked by the mayor to stand in for him, and interview with the TV to explain to the public, the general public, 13,000 people, what's happening on the Washington Avenue Revitalization Committee. He's not on the committee. He's never been to one of the meetings. We've never met him. Deputy mayor should have been standing in for the mayor, but I don't know if she can answer questions on it. One of us on the board should have been standing in for the mayor, but instead there was a public citizen doing that. So I don't know what came on TV. I don't know what happened. They started airing right when we started this meeting. But and one more thing in addition to that, what's out there in the rotunda, a lot of it is outdated material. A lot of it is material that was done by a company 6 years ago. Pictures out of a booklet. So this is, in my opinion, is outrageous that our mayor would do such a thing. To have this person representing the village on TV on a project he really doesn't know much about. And so that's my last comment.
Thank you. Nick?
Good evening. I attended Gusto, the art celebration, and I took my family to the Apple Fest. It was really nice getting out and visiting with the community. Great food at Gusto and also the Apple Festival. The art celebration was nice. Beautiful weather. It was perfect with the sunset hitting the arch. It was really nice. I am working with Little Italy Endicott on the Carousel. We would like to run it the entire Halloween weekend. And on Saturday the 30th, we are working on an event with EPAC and New Life Ministries, possibly a trunk or treat. So that should be fun for the children. I know mine are excited. Little Italy will be donating trees to the George W. Johnson Park with funds they received from the Restaurant Week. So more news to come on that, but that's pretty exciting. Like Pat said, we welcome Burn Dairy, and we're very thankful they chose Endicott. I think it's really cool that our Friendly's building is the first to be repurposed or something, considering Vestal sits vacant and also the one in Cortland sits vacant. So that's pretty cool that ours has some development first. And I'd like to echo Pat and Ted by thanking the Endicott Rotary Club for weed eating the parking lots. However, it is unfortunate that they had to do it in the first place. We must do better. Endicott needs leadership, and it's unacceptable. We have to do better. Ted, just to follow up on what you said, that person who was interviewed today, are they on the Washington Ave Revitalization Committee?
No.
Okay. And I think Endicott Rotary also donated $500 to the art celebration. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, I have some comments from Linda to read. Some trustees have little to report regarding the progress they've made on their projects to benefit the village. Instead of providing updates on their efforts, they announce changes made to the agenda. I have continued to share my mayor announcements and accomplishments at the beginning of the meeting, both for transparency and to let everyone know what is going on in the village. The records need to be set straight and the facts need to be publicized. Guilty people appear to be the ones most offended by the truth. They call anyone who disagrees with them liars, often without proof or to substantiate their claim. False accusations, lies, harassment, and name-calling must stop. This is a slanderous embarrassment to the village. People who have nothing good to share about themselves focus their time and attention on attempting to bring others down to their level. I do not lie. You, as the accusers, have the burden of proof. I have proof to back everything I say. I do not make house calls. Everyone is welcome to come to my office requesting to be shown proof on every subject I have addressed. All of that is right here. I continue to contact Nikon lawyers for free advice interpreting state laws. Trustees have the right to do the same. I rely on facts, not opinions. The majority of us are tired about hearing about the battery recycling company welcomed to Endicott by the former mayor. The company ultimately left our area because of the increasingly hostile environment they faced. This hostility became a plague affecting all of Broome County. We as a municipality do not have the authority to prevent a private company from legally coming to a private property. At that time, our code permitted recycling in manufacturing as it had for many years. The company did not request any financial assistance from the village. I requested more information regarding the process from prominent experts in the field. The experts I corresponded with included a Nobel Prize winner and his protege, CEO in Canada. I was extremely concerned about the safety of the company's processes given Endicott's history of contamination. This recycling company intended only implement phase 1 of this process in Endicott. Plans had already been executed to complete phase 2 in South Korea. It was the second phase of the process that involved chemicals. I realize that people who spend a whole year concentrating on just the one issue are frustrated that they could not legally force the company to leave. Nothing was accomplished by rescinding the safety restrictions of only one product to relate the company that left last year. Had they been genuinely concerned with the safety of any company permitting burning or incinerating, they would have implemented the laws they proposed in May of 2020 to prohibit such processes. They did nothing except cost the village a lot of money in attorney fees. This was clearly a political ploy to make it look like I was responsible for coming here rather than just putting in safety restrictions. It has taken a year to build up the confidence of outside businesses before they would consider our village as a location for their business. We must move on. These same individuals rescinded an established law allowing for recycling and manufacturing. IBM and other companies had operated under this law for many years. The rescinded law caused a glass recycling company to abandon their plans to come to Endicott. That company would have alleviated some of the additional $300,000 cost of recycling caused by the Taylor garbage fire. Each worked for the village residents instead of chasing away businesses. They have concerns. They could have written laws addressing them, giving our area a black eye, thing to brag about. Thousands of dollars in attorney's fees have been spent establishing meeting procedures that attempt to thwart my efforts to execute the role and responsibilities of elected position as mayor of the Village of Endicott. Some of the rules are not even enforceable. According to NICOM and the state, such power and responsibility cannot be exercised in a way that would render the position of mayor irrelevant and unable to perform his or her duties. To argue that the Board of Trustees may tell the mayor what type of village business the mayor uses the village offices for would be an impermissible infringement upon the mayor's power. Clearly, such a position would be unreasonable and untenable.
I had a question, Eileen. You said something about the battery company by the former mayor. I didn't understand that.
It was originally introduced by John Bertoni, but I'm not done.
It was what by John Bertoni?
John Bertoni.
Oh, it was what?
It was originally brought to the board during John Bertoni's tenure.
Well, you and Linda pushed it all last year, though.
No. Can I finish what I'm speaking
Oh,
about?
I thought you were done.
No. Three of the trustees have said from the beginning that since there are three of them, they form a majority and intend to take over and rule the village. They are attempting to dictate what happens in the village. Decisions impacting the village are made daily, not just twice a month. I will continue to exercise my role as mayor in the day-to-day running of the village, along with the working to save village taxpayers' money by researching grants. We were unfamiliar with the Zoom platform when we first began using it for meetings. People who wish to speak at meetings were directed to submit their questions ahead of time so that the meeting administrator could be more efficiently call on those who wanted to speak. A submission deadline was established so that trustees could obtain a list of individuals that planned to speak prior to the board meeting. No one was prevented from voicing their concerns. Residents had the opportunity to email or call the village offices at any time prior to the deadline for the next board meeting. I am not the one who committed censorship. However, three of the trustees did just that. They called a special meeting for a project they were backing. The additional attorney fees for the special meeting were paid for with village tax dollars. They approved a deviated pilot without negotiating with the village board, holding a public hearing, or allowing anyone to speak at a hearing of visitors. I have yet to see, let alone sign, any contract between the private developer and the village regarding the aforementioned deviated pilot. This blatant absence of transparency is another example of wasted time and money with no regard for the village residents' rights. Trustees and I are obligated to all state rules. However, it seems that the trustees don't hold themselves to this standard. Zoom was no longer necessary for meetings when the governor went back to the open meeting law. Such people were to go to the boardroom in person. Board members and committee members were still required to be present in the boardroom. This point was non-negotiable with the governor, but the town of Union and had discontinued using Zoom. It was I that made the motion to allow people to continue to speak on Zoom. Now, with the new strain of COVID, we will return to remote meetings. We were finally able to remove 2 large dead trees at the library's expense. The Library Code Department and Street Department brought this to our attention in late May with a letter from the fire marshal to the entire village board. 3 of the trustees were so focused on gaining power that they appeared to have ignored this email. Conferring with 2 tree companies alerted us that the trees were a danger to people using the library. I instructed the library to do whatever is necessary to protect our residents. The resolution we passed enabled any one of us to make this decision. The tree company we selected had a full schedule, so the trees were not taken down until August. Prior to the removal, a big windstorm caused a large branch to go through the new roof at the library. We are exceptionally fortunate that no one was injured. A branch of that size seriously injured or even killed someone. Our residents' safety is our #1 priority. Trustee Warner must have forgotten he sent me an email and harassed me for not having between 80 to 100 trees cut down at the Huron private property. The tree committee said that not all of those trees were dead.
They were all dead.
3 of the trustees offered to hire an additional police officer. There are many additional personnel that I would like to hire. It's easy to talk about spending money. I have yet to hear how these trustees have determined to pay the $110,000 expense every year. This is not a responsible way to conduct business. There is no line in the police budget for this expense. $110,000 could raise the village taxes by 2%. When I requested an additional position for the street department, I also proposed options on how to cover the cost. Save money by going back to doing our own concrete work every year. That is an example of taking responsibility and not wasting the taxpayers' money. I am working with my secretary to begin pursuing a project with a NICOM lawyer that now covers some fire, EMT, and police expenses. These departments also work to obtain grants of their own and help offset their expenses. I do not work in a vacuum. I work with each department for the good of the village. We are working together to save money, not waste it. Our deputy mayor, secretary, and myself are accomplishing a lot, but we could go a lot further with more help. To bring our residents together. The Chamber of Commerce said this is very important to unite for a common interest and get people talking
How many more pages is there?
to help with village concerns. As many residents have commented that they are tired of hearing board minutes bending against absolutely everything. Our residents, lies, manufactured rumors cannot change the facts. I will continue the truth regardless of the comments that are made. We can argue outside the boardroom and restrict meeting comments to village business. Either way, spending taxpayers' money on attorney's fees to block me from working effectively must cease. Imagine what we could accomplish if we were able to work together for the good of the village.
And that was signed?
Pardon me?
That was signed by,
You said that Linda signed?
I couldn't hear all of that. Could
I
you,
have a copy of it.
could I have a copy of it?
Sure can.
Make a copy right now?
After the meeting.
No.
Thank you.
We never did, right?
After the
Well,
meeting.
okay.
Thank you. Bob, you're up.
That was the mayor's announcement?
Yes, sir.
The second one.
Well, before Bob,
that was the-
before Bob goes, she stuck her nose, in the middle of, for Bob's speech, but I can't let this go uncommented on this. The diatribe from her, first of all, she doesn't have the guts to show up here and tell it to our face. She's got to have it read. I'd say probably 95 to 99% of that stuff is pure garbage. And talk about lies. I can't believe, and I have a pretty good idea what she's got going here, having her own attorney. I heard the word slanderous. I don't know how many times, if she's thinking she's going to slap some sort of slander suit against the 3 trustees. good luck. You can prove we've gone through these past, at least for me, 2 years. And if she knew the opinion that people have about Linda Jackson, which she probably already does, but maybe she doesn't, because I'm just going to get that. She might change her tune and start agreeing and getting on the right side of some of the projects. She was partially responsible for having Marchuskas leave the village. They could have had a nice building across from Dunkin' Donuts, but I understand she was responsible for letting them go. She underhandedly, from what I understand, was not totally behind the Burned Dairy project. She had some underlings there that we had to fight through to get them here. She's been against El Tur, in my opinion, because of revenge against Rocky. It's so obvious to try to blow that $20 million project and $16 million in tax revenue over 22 years. I said keeping her the truth from her to the ground, and I just can't let her continue to out there and not have it be rebutted. And I put $1 million on this. Was written by her, so I don't believe she has the vocabulary or the wherewithal to write a letter like that, because it comes, I deal with attorneys all the time, and that was definitely written by an attorney. It was written by Linda Jackson.
Okay, so we're going to stop the slanderous. Let's just move forward with the meeting.
No, he can speak.
I understand.
You sat through that diatribe.
I understand.
It was garbage. And
But you just spent 20 minutes on that. He can
read hers.
I know.
He talks, she talks. We're going to respond. We're not going to let this go by. I'm sorry. But I better stop now before I really, before Chief Gary has to take me out. There you go.
Go ahead, Bob.
Are you going to have a comment yourself?
Oh, for what I've done?
Right. I mean, you didn't do yourself yet.
No, I didn't do myself yet. Kind of busy last 10 days with the Arch and the Apple Festival, which I think were very nice events. Made it through. Got to get through tonight, and then I'm going off the radar for 2 weeks. So we worked hard in the last couple of days. And in case you didn't know, Mr. Chris Pelto is here today. If any of you have questions that you would like to address to him, he will be happy to answer that. Right, Chris?
Why don't we do that now so he doesn't have to stay for
Why don't we let
Bob and
You just brought it up.
Chris, are you up for that?
That way you wouldn't have to stay the whole meeting if you don't want to.
I'm fine. I thought that tonight we may get some comments on employees, and rather than somebody coming forward, they could be in. Hey, Don,
You want to come up here where that speaker can
that was my only agenda, was just if somebody wanted to.
I think we'd love to hear the first-hand report of what happened.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Is that one the same way?
Probably.
I don't know.
Thanks, Chris.
Is it short one? Is it short?
Here.
we got one extra.
Yeah, we'll share. It's not like
I've got more.
it's not like I'm going to take it home and put it under my pillow,
If there's not enough, I got
right?
Good night.
I don't know. Probably not.
So you want me just to explain what these pictures are and an overview of where we're at, what we've been doing?
Sure.
Okay, so, as everybody knows, there's been different complaints and concerns over the noise that we created with the venting of steam, excess steam produced. And I think it's been captured, you know, what the issues are, but I thought I would at least, if someone was here that had concerns or someone in the audience, that I would try to address where we're at and what the situation is. So one of the biggest issues that we've got is i3 Electronics was the legacy manufacturing from the IBM manufacturing. They sold their assets and they were moved to Wisconsin. And so that manufacturing was pulled out of Endicott. We haven't brought anything new in manufacturing. And so the steam load on the site is very low compared to the smallest boiler that we can run at the lowest fire rate that we can run. So one of the ways that we consume that steam in the summertime is for cooling. We actually drive a chiller with a steam turbine. And that steam turbine, to give you an idea of the magnitude of what this thing is, it's 3,100 horsepower. So if your average car is like 150 horsepower, 180 horsepower, it's 3,100 horsepower is the size of the steam turbine. So it uses a lot of steam, so it's a good way to consume the steam. And then it drives a big chiller, which provides cooling in the summertime and balances that load. Normally, we wouldn't be totally dependent on just that steam turbine for the chiller because we'd have manufacturing load. And in the summertime, in this environment that we're in the Northeast, we have a lot of humidity. So there's a lot of rooms that have humidity specifications. So we use steam in air dryers to dry out the air and reduce the humidity. So that's a normal summertime load. But with all the manufacturing gone, we don't have that load anymore. And so we go as low as we can run. And then if we can't get rid of the steam in usage, then we have to vent some of the steam. We recognized that that would be noisy, venting that steam. So we hired Evans Mechanical, and this one black and white picture is the large muffler system that was put on to the steam pipe to dampen and quiet down that noise. I've noticed some comments that, you know, people saw a straight pipe and they said there's nothing on that, but it's down inside where you can't see it from the outside. But on September 14th, we had an expansion joint failure that had to be repaired, and then the steam was vented without going through that large muffler that's in the picture. So on the 14th through into the early, actually late morning, right around noon time, it was put back on, and that quieted it back down, but it was extremely loud on September 14th. So I live about a mile and I think 1.2 miles north of the site, and it was clearly recognizable everywhere. It was very loud, and at my house in particular, it wasn't directionally located right, but it sounded like I had a jet engine idling on the side of my house on the east, not to the south, but I think it was just the nature of how the sound was bouncing around through the valley. So that was restored, the repairs were done, and that muffler device that we went to the expense to try to minimize the amount of noise we were creating has a huge impact in dampening the sound. The other thing that we've done since the 15th, when that came back online, is we have also had the whole staff working to try to find other ways where they can find some more load to put on, anything they can do to put some more load on, or do a quiet venting in another location to do as much as possible. And all week I've been driving home, just zigzagging through the upper northern parts of the neighborhood just to see how it is. And to me, it's a qualitative thing. I can't like quantify it, but it's drastically improved in my judgment. So, but the other picture set is what I wanted everybody to get a feel, because I did get a call from, I fielded a few calls. I can't answer every single call that I get in the middle of some other things we're doing, but I have talked to several people, and I got the one person had asked me, like, why don't you just get a better mechanic to fix it? Can't you just call somebody in and just fix it? Just get a better mechanic. And so these pictures, if you take a look at it, this is 3,100 horsepower. It's an 8-stage turbine, and the number of components, blades, and there's a whole series of 105-page report of other things in here. It's a more complicated rebuild than probably rebuilding a jet engine. It's an extraordinarily complex piece of gear, and we had to dismantle it inside the utility plant, crane it out, and we shipped it to the factory because it's so precision work. The journals, the bearing inlets, all the stuff, and they have to put it in return. It's a factory level rebuild is essentially what's going on. And so that's the reason for the lack of like timing. Like everybody says, well, just say when it's going to be fixed and get a better mechanic. It's not that simple. So we knew that that would be the case up front. That's why we went to the extent and had this whole thing purchased and installed and put in, because we knew that could make a big difference in damage. So that's kind of the over. We're at a factory. They finished all the stuff that they're doing is working to machine parts and order parts, but it's still a lengthy period to get this thing rebuilt. My expectation at this point is we've made drastic improvements in the level of sound from the venting that's coming out, and then I would anticipate sometime in October that the sound would go away altogether. We'll be able to, I've got some other ideas of some things we can do with another turbine that can't be run right now, but as the weather cools a little bit, we might be able to put that on, drive some steam load in there at the end of October. Probably the venting is going on through the muffler. I don't actually expect even back in October. So that's the kind of time, it's just such a major rebuild and overhaul. And it's a Dresser-Rand turbine manufacturing company, and it's just, there is a lot of supply issues, there's a lot of parts issues, there's a lot of broken supply chains. So I wish I had, and we've tried to push them, we try to do everything we can to drive it faster, but I'm limited, and I wanted to share those pictures of the internals once it was tore apart, so you could get a feel for what it actually is. So that's my overview.
Thank you.
They,
Pretty intense.
What pieces have actually broken? The shafts, a little bit of everything, or the blades?
It's not,
What's exactly
so we
caused
think
the
that,
problem?
we think that there's some wear in some of the journals and the bearings. It's got really impressive bearing sets that allow this to spin fast and such a high horsepower. And then there's also seals. And so what we're getting water that's passing through, which can't have. And so I'm trying to think of an analogy of something that, you just in your car engine, if you had your main seal on your crankshaft, it doesn't seize up. You can just get water and you ruin the massive 3,500 ton chiller.
This may be a stupid question. What would be the possibility of having a second muffler installed in series with the one you got? Would that do anything for it, or would that cause some sort of back pressure?
I think it's going to cause back pressure. I think this was even questioned if this would be okay to have as much as what it's doing. And this is actually designed and sized for the steam load.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, the steam's been released for about a month now, and it peaked the other night when everyone got all up in arms.
Massive peak. Yeah.
Then it went back through the muffler. It seems quieter now than it was before the peak.
So what we're doing is everything where we could waste some steam internally, we're trying to do that also to even. So like for a large 1,000 horsepower air compressor with a steam desiccant air dryer on the end of it, well, there's spare compressors. So we've been working on the piping and changing. We're running steam through extra air dryers to consume it. The only problem is that when it goes out into the plant, it's not hurting anything to be drier than normal, and it's consuming more steam. So we're trying to find every area where we can use a little bit more steam, and that's what's better. Is I've had the staff in the site saying, where can we find some way to dump some more steam so we're not venting steam, just using it, even if it's in wasteful ways, or turn something on. It doesn't. That I think has really made a difference this 15th going forward. I think the effort was, I think actually on the 15th when this was coming back online. That was the reason why I was actually quieter than it had been for a month, is finding other places to waste it.
It's a huge improvement.
Yeah, I know it myself, and my qualitative opinion, somebody probably doesn't evaluate anything I would say, because they say, well, it's your problem, so you're going to say whatever, but I thought it was drastically better.
Yeah, at my house, it doesn't sound like it's like your house. It kind of echoes from behind, which is weird.
It was my backyard in my east yard rather than in the south where it should be, that I wasn't hearing anything.
And I can't even hear it now. So whatever you're doing is working.
And I think that we can keep that up. Plus, I believe that we'll find some more that we're every day we try to find somewhere we can throw some steam off somewhere else to not, try to minimize the noise. And we know we've been a nuisance in the community and don't like that. And then the other thing to share with you is that natural gas cost has gone from, our cost has gone from less than $2 a decatherm to over $5 a decatherm. So we're looking at 200% increases in gas costs, and that's the same as just cash flowing up that stack by venting that. So we are motivated. We do not want that situation going on. It's costly and expensive, and it's painful to have it going on.
One more question, but for starters, thank you for that, because I have not had a single complaint since that night when it really peaked. So that's excellent.
That was a crazy night.
It was a crazy night.
For anybody that thought that this thing didn't make a difference.
Oh, it makes a huge difference, huge difference. A couple people mentioned that they've detected an odor with it. Could that be related? It's just water?
Just water vapor. There's
Okay.
no odor whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for coming in and telling us the details. You said you think you'll get this fixed in October, or you don't know?
Well, I think we'll fix the noise problem. We won't have that back in October.
Not by October.
Just from the temperature
The
change?
venting and then all these efforts to find other places. So even as the temperature changes, there may be something we wouldn't normally do that will do something extraordinary to get the steam flowing in other locations and then minimize even further any venting that's going on.
Who would have thought you'd have to worry about all that stuff? I guess something else.
Well, the biggest, if you said, well, what's the root cause is we've got nothing, we have no manufacturing. We need manufacturing back. So that's the only way that it's a sustainable site.
Is the muffler a permanent fixture now, or will that be?
It's a permanent fixture now.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be
Even when the
removed.
new park comes back in October.
Thank you so much
Yeah, that
for
was
fielding
excellent.
questions.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
So what?
Yeah.
I had a nice, interesting discussion with a new employee for Imperium 3, talking about some ramp ups fairly soon, prototype lines, and then
2022.
yeah, I mean, it's in the next first quarter maybe. Will that help generating having that load from the building? Or
anything will help. And then the other thing is that I'm not 100% sure all their ways they're going to feed it, but their process requires extremely dry air. So they could end up with having I'm hoping they have a substantial load where the Rye Air is the company that makes the desiccant dryers, and the processing requires really low humidity. And so in the past, in the manufacturing processes and clean rooms and things where we needed real low humidity, we had to do that with steam flowing into a desiccant air dryer was the way we dropped the humidity way down. But I'm expecting them to produce a fairly good load.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting.
Actually, I wasn't sure if you had on the audience.
Where are you going?
Well, I'm going to have a crowd.
Run, don't
Yell it all at you. And
You don't know.
that you shouldn't have to take the brunt.
We're having hors d'oeuvres later.
Yeah, I didn't want you guys to take the brunt of it. If somebody wanted.
We
to
appreciate that.
I thought I should be here to take the brunt of it. So
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
You're up.
So, all right, we're pretty deep now in this meeting. so
Yes,
I'll
we're
go quick.
deep.
The only thing I was, I've noticed, and actually the fireman brought this up to me, our code book does not have a professional fees law. A lot of municipalities have a law that for some of the larger land use development projects that come in, you can charge the professional fees that are incurred by the village, like the engineering fee, to the developer. So I just wanted to, some municipalities have it, some don't. I could show you some examples of nearby municipalities if you're interested. But I had to bring that up. It was something that I noticed was missing. And there's obviously pluses and minuses, you can imagine, on both sides for having that kind of law. Not that we necessarily need to get into a debate about it tonight, but I just wanted to let you guys know about it and,
Sure.
allow you to kind of.
That might be a good law for us with all these, big buildings and big industries that might be coming.
Yeah.
And we won't have steam problems. The businesses,
Don't want to put a roadblock either.
oh, Lord.
So, yeah.
Right.
There's
So there's
kind
a
of
delicate line.
there's pluses and minuses on both
Uh-huh.
sides. So, again, we don't need to dig into it if you don't want to right now. Or I could send you some examples to look at.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah, I can email you examples.
I read once, I didn't even know what city it was, but the costs were pretty high for what they charge for their engineers and, I mean, for a company to come into their town.
Yeah.
It was a big company too, but still. And it worked for the planning board and zoning board. All the research that had to be done for, whatever they're working on could be paid for too.
Right. I'll just email a few laws around.
Perfect.
Anthony?
Okay. I'll, keep it short as
Somebody
well.
excuse me for a minute.
Just a couple of things I wanted to touch on quick was, we were, notified from the state on our CDBG coronavirus grant, which was the, work at the police and fire departments. It was a $500,000 project that we submitted, and that was for the, HVAC and generator work over there. That's $500,000 project. We were awarded a grant for $485,000 of that. So, paperwork's filing in now to accept that, and we'll probably have that on the agenda at our next meeting. So I was happy to be notified of that. That's some work we've been planning to do in our capital plans. Now we're going to be able to have it covered under a grant. And then just a couple other things quick. We submitted an application for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. This was round 5. Last year there was no initiative. So, and we've applied the last 4 years. 2 of the years we were finalists, win those years. But this again, I think we have a great application. A lot of good public and private sector projects. The program changed a little bit this year, where it used to be one $10 million award per region. This year, it's a total of $20 million will be distributed per region, and it's up to the local REDC, Regional Economic Development Council of the Southern Tier, which we're in, how they're going to distribute that fund. So it could be one $20 million award or 2 $10 million awards. So we're waiting to hear further on that. The deadline was last Wednesday, and that's when we submitted. So we're anxiously awaiting to hear, what the next step is, and hopefully, if they're doing finalists like they were in previous years, or hope we're named the finalists and be able to do a presentation for that. So a lot of good projects in there. I've had an announcement last week that we submitted, but I can forward the application everyone so you can see that. And then just lastly, Washington Ave project update. We're wrapping up the survey period. That's coming to an end. We're evaluating the responses. We did receive a lot of comment and feedback from that, and a number of responses. So I'm looking to do a further update at our next meeting. But we're going to take into consideration what the public would like to see. Some of the comments that came in, and revise the plans that we have. So we had the 3 options, work with those, and really come up with one option that, we think everyone's going to be happy with. So looking at hopefully the next meeting, we can give a further update and possibly present the design we're looking to move forward with.
This board meeting?
Yeah, hopefully by the 4th. If not, it'll definitely be by the 18th. We'll present that plan that we've developed over the last 6 months. So that's exciting as well. But I'll save everything else till next time, just to keep moving here.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, okay. No special presentations, public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to call for a public hearing on October 4th at 6 p.m. regarding digital signs.
Second?
Okay, motion and second, do a roll call, trustee Dorner,
Did you do a second? Okay.
trustee Warner,
Yes.
trustee Longigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sign law, sorry, I didn't speak up right when you gave your motion. That sign law requires both a 239 review and a review by the planning board. So really, we want the results of the 239 review before.
We'll have to change the date.
Because we won't get it back in time.
We won't get that back on time, right?
So we should shoot for
18th?
18, right?
October 18th?
Can we still do the public hearing though, or do we have to do that after
we
those?
probably need all the documentation.
We should have that in place.
No sense having to do it twice.
Change month because planning board's meeting is not till after the 18th.
So why don't we go to the first board meeting in November then? So that puts it back a month,
Yeah, it does, that's,
but
I mean, if we have to, we have
Winter
to.
out when you're trying to, you know.
I know.
Special meeting?
do that. But
Then we're gonna be accused of,
but no, because we have to have,
Oh, that's right.
you know, once it comes in, you have to announce it.
Right.
It's November 1st, it's not
Yeah.
like the middle of November,
Yeah.
you know?
If you're talking less than a week. If it comes in before, we can have a special meeting, but remember, we have to post it.
2 week,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
by weeks, we can,
So for now, we'll set it for November 1st.
So with that being said, can I withdraw?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why don't we, well.
Let's take that all back.
Absolutely not, Nick.
Sorry?
I said absolutely not, You're stuck.
So just, so the motion was already voted on, so to have a new motion to rescind the previous one and reschedule it for, yeah, I hate to say it, but it looks like November 1st is the,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that really stinks, but, okay, I'll make a motion to rescind the previous motion regarding the public hearing on 10-4 and digital signs. Can I keep going with one?
yeah, yep.
And, call for a public hearing November 1st at 6 p.m. regarding digital signs.
I'll second that.
A second, we'll do a roll call. Trustee Dorner?
yes.
Trustee Warner?
Yes.
Trustee Burlingame?
Yes,
And trustee,
Yeah.
way too complicated.
You're lucky he didn't make you do another motion.
Nope.
He's like, you do two, you got a 2-for-1 on that one. Out of Bob, that's unheard of. Okay, moving forward.
This is for the next meeting, isn't it?
There's no date.
Was everything ready for this tonight? For the Altura?
Yes.
Did it-
We're having the public hearing tonight
Okay.
for Altura, we're
Okay.
continuing it.
Okay.
Oh, we are having it tonight?
Yes, it was noticed, yep. Just the vote, we're not ready for a vote on it tonight.
Oh.
We can take public comment and then.
Okay, let's do that. Anthony?
okay, so we're opening
Yep.
public hearing. We have a public hearing on the planned urban development, rezoning of 105.5 Sky Island Drive. If anyone would like to make comment on that topic, that's joining by Zoom, and go to the reactions tab and raise your hand. Or if you're joining by phone, if you hit *9, that will raise hand as well, and we'll be able to call in. If you would like to speak, you can let us know.
How about live
We have
here
one.
in the audience here?
Pat?
Do you want to speak?
No public comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment.
Why don't we do a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public comment.
I'll second that.
Roll call. Trustee Dorner?
Yes.
Trustee Warner?
Yes.
Trustee Burlingame?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes. Okay, resolutions.
All right, first one here. It's our transportation alternative grant, the name there. So this is a grant that we're going to be submitting at the end of the month. We're working with an engineering firm to prepare this application. This is one of the ones we actually applied for a couple of years ago, but we were not successful, so we're trying it again here. Transportation alternative is going to be sidewalk improvements, pedestrian improvements, bike lanes. We could even look at lighting, things like that. So, and it's going to be, these are going to be in and around the school zones. So around Union Endicott High School, Jenny F. Snap, and some of the local schools downtown, like the old Eaton School and First Presbyterian School as well. So these are going to be just sidewalk pedestrian improvements around the downtown of the village that we're looking to have covered by the grant. And we're going to be seeking about $2 million grant, $2 million worth of the grant, and our share would be 20% of that if we were successful. So hopefully we are successful and get a lot of that work completed.
That'd be nice.
So this is the resolution that we will use when we submit. The board is committing project. The board is interested in seeking this grant fund.
You need a motion?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to pass. Is there a number for it?
I don't have the number where I will have to fill it in.
Refer to it as the TAP grant
Yeah.
Yep.
resolution?
Yep.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to pass top grant application.
I'll second that.
Trustee Dorner?
Yes.
Trustee Warner?
Yes.
Trustee Burlingame?
Yes.
Trustee Tech?
Yes.
Before we do the next one, Pat, are you going to speak on something tonight?
Yes, I would like to.
Can we let Pat do it now? You don't have to stay the whole meeting, do you?
No.
She didn't ask you to do that.
No.
Can we have Pat talk now before, so he doesn't have to stay all night?
Thought he had to.
You're running that.
The board.
Yeah, I have no objection.
I'll make a motion. If you don't want to do it, I'll make a
He
motion.
looks hungry. I think he wants to go home.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, listen.
So I just wanted to speak really quickly. I wasn't going to, but when you guys started talking about the noise law, so I don't want to disagree with my esteemed colleague, Mr. McCurdick, but I don't think that's enforceable. So the village code reads, and so if we want an enforceable one, I think we have to update it. Without getting into the nitty gritty, the village code reads that the sound pressure level shall be measured with a second level meter and associated octave band analyzer, whatever that is, conforming to standards prescribed by the American Standards Association. And then it goes on to talk about meters from the American Standards Association that are Z-243 or 224.3-1944, meaning the year 1944, and another one with a year of 1953. So what it's basically saying is that if we're going to measure noise, it has to be with these meters where it's applicable to standards conformed in these meters. The trick of it all is that the American Standards Association doesn't even exist anymore. And it went through a whole bunch of names. American Standards Association was 1928. Then in 1966, it was reorganized into the United States American Standards Institute, and it is now I think just the American National Standards Institute. So my thing with it is, and this is what I've kind of said all along, is we don't have a meter that we can even use, and then to get that meter, which I actually did just find out today, it's only a couple $100. I thought it was far more expensive than that. But then I have to go through training with everybody on that meter. And when we're talking about something like Huron today, you still have to meet standards of proof, I believe. Now, I am less familiar with Village Code with my time in the state to deal with it. But I think we still have to have an intent that goes along with it. Or is it strict liability? So that part I'm not 100% sure on.
It's not a criminal law where, in a sense, where you need to prove intent.
Okay.
These kinds of laws, for noise laws, there's really two different types. One type is where the noise is measured through a decibel meter.
Yep.
And that's the kind that we have. So it's sufficient if you've got someone, like you said, who's properly trained using the proper device. They go to the site, measure the decibel, record it, that would be proof there for a violation of the code.
Okay, and that would be for even loud music and all that kind of stuff as well when you're measuring it at the property line. And
this doesn't make a distinction between the type of noise. It's whether it triggers the decibel reading.
okay, so with that, I think if we update the law to whatever the current meter is, then I think it would be enforceable that way, and I would feel comfortable doing it. In the meantime, we still have, which people refuse to use, we have the disorderly conduct section, which is unreasonable noise, which the only standard for that is a person, any person, has to observe unreasonable noise in their presence, and then they can sign a sworn affidavit to it. So when my police officers arrive on the scene, they have to determine the noise is unreasonable for the time of day, for, whatever's going on, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where the trick comes in. But we offer people all the time, if you want to fill out a complaint, because, sometimes we'll arrive on the scene, we'll walk out front, and you can hear a little noise, but it's not really unreasonable. If a person is in their apartment building listening to it, that's not a public location. So disorderly conduct deals with public. If a person is sitting on their back porch listening and it's unreasonable noise going across, I don't think that would be interpreted as public. I mean, these are kind of issues we deal with a lot of different things. Tenants, loud music, that's a landlord thing. So, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, but the noise meter still would require us standing at the edge of the property line as opposed to somewhere in the house listening. So those are just some of the tricks and issues that go along with it. But my bigger concern when we were talking about it is, and I don't even know what this meter is. So we need to purchase one of those meters. So.
Yeah, I agree. We do need to purchase one. I brought up noise a month before Huron, so nothing to do with Huron.
Yeah, all music.
It was music. I had a lot of people reach out to me and complain. I do think we need a noise meter, and the patrolmen are going to have to be adequately trained on said meter. With the signing the affidavit right now, residents couldn't have done that with Huron because it's not an individual. Could they have?
Well, you can...
Because we would add about 100 of them.
Yeah, I mean, you can technically arrest the corporation. So, I mean, I think it all really comes down to, what's your goal here? You know, like we all understand that was a kind of an unintentional thing that they were trying to work on. So I guess it would be met with fines per day or something. I don't know what I didn't look that far into the code, but.
I was just curious because,
Yeah.
I mean, I had probably 24 people call me.
Yeah,
People were going.
We actually told the police department we aren't taking your complaints anymore because we know about it and there's. You know,
Isn't normally if you did go up to some house that was making a lot of, don't they normally just turn it down anyway? No?
they turn it down and then we drive away and then
And they turn it off.
So that's.
If they've been drinking, it's.
I could almost write the script for every single loud noise complaint we get. Unless it happens to be, you know, someone who, this is the only time they've ever played loud music, they had a party going on and they go, oh gee, sorry, we didn't know it was that loud. But the frequent flyers, I can write the script as to what's gonna happen.
I had a question about another thing on noise. I was over at the Arthur Avenue fire last week. Somebody had a boombox on the porch across the street. Profane language coming out of this thing was
Can I see your,
ridiculous. Is there a law on profanity?
just my text.
What it is?
Yes, it's called the First Amendment, we can't do anything.
Text somebody.
Okay, there you go. Answers that one. Okay.
Unfortunately, that is.
I couldn't believe
I
that.
put her number in
It's
our.
awful, isn't it?
Those types on the sidewalk and this F-bombing and F. So I'm gonna go see Brian or you and
It's 20.
make it down.
Some of those same kids are, saying that to me outside of the high school when we have a fight
Sure.
outside the high school,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what our new code that we would like to, probably have you look into, would it have to reference a specific
Take that or should I?
heater, or could it be general enough where we don't have to change it every time the department gets a new
I thought he was here.
Usually these codes are not so specific that a meter like that, but it can be more generalized.
Does everyone feel that we should look into having an updated noise ordinance? Something we should have Bob look into?
I think we should probably read through this before we do go that extent,
Well,
but we probably do need to.
do you think we should have Bob look at it and see, like I nominate Bob?
And just as a point of reference, it was actually Anthony Penicia from Delta Engineering.
Said invalid number.
Called me today because I was speaking at Endicott Proud about noise. And he said they have a meter that he believes meets all the standards there. So, you know, we're welcome to look at it or test it out or whatever. So.
He's got a meter that meets this standard here?
No, I don't really know. I'm gonna guess he's got a meter that is new and updated, not 1944, but I'm not really sure of that, so. But I don't think he realized what the code read at the time. Maybe he did, and maybe he was saying they have something that fits that standard, but. Or, I mean, for all I know, again, not being an engineer and certainly not a sound engineer, maybe new meters comply with that.
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, this code provision, I believe, was inserted in the most recent update when, the Town of Union and Johnson City and Endicott revised their codes. This is part of the zoning code, the unified code. So I don't know why that was put in there at the time.
Because when I first got here, it read the same way with the, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it was actually one of the first controversies I had when I got here was people saying we weren't handling loud noise, and I went and researched again, not being familiar with ordinances, I had to really do some research, and that's actually where I learned about the whole change of the American Standards Association and all that kind of stuff.
Do you get a lot of calls for noise?
We do.
Yeah, we get enough, yeah.
We get lots of calls.
When you guys get calls, I wish you'd direct them to us, because at least then we know. Just direct every single one of them.
Yeah.
That's why we're Village Police.
He's talking about Friday night.
No. I've been getting calls long before then, but they feel that, although I haven't had any since Craig was here at that one meeting.
Yeah.
But, we've called the police department. We've had no response, no luck.
But if they call me, I mean, that's what my job is. You guys shouldn't have to field those complaints. Tell them to call me. That's why I'm a village police chief and not a New York City police chief. So
Tell the public to call you?
What's that? Yeah, tell the public to call me.
Your cell number?
Well, my office would be
You're not gonna get the phone number.
Usually the elected officials for the calls on the cell phone.
Usually at night, you know.
But if they leave a message, I will call back the next day.
So are you, most of the noise complaints, I take it, are not like this Huron thing?
Usually music.
This was an exceptional.
Usually music. Sometimes it'll be someone working in their garage at night, or banging on a car, or running a power tool, or something
And
like
you
that.
feel that the disorderly conduct provisions in the criminal law, currently in penal law, are sufficient to allow you to address those?
I mean, we are able to in many instances. I wouldn't say in all, and I think in some situations we have frequent flyers that are in difficult situations, like person is hearing the loud noise in a private location and the noise is coming from a private location and we have to stand in a public location to hear it.
So updating our noise ordinance wouldn't fix that?
Right, unless we could stand in a public spot and run the meter and hear it.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I think that's my understanding and interpretation of it is no matter what, as a police officer, we have to stand in a public location or at the edge of the property line. Right. That is creating the noise. But that doesn't really help, for instance, someone sitting in their house and it's rattling the windows, but you're not really hearing it as loud outside. So it's like you get into all these different situations that make it really difficult to enforce, and so
It's almost impossible for motorcycles and cars, isn't it?
yeah, well, they fall under a different section. They fall under like loud muffler section. So that is actually more of a
There you go, Nick.
almost a judgment call on the police officer.
It's usually not vehicles, though.
No, he's
Yeah.
on the muffler, your neighbor.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but I'm going to talk to him. But first, I'm going to talk to him before I.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about vehicles on the roadway. I didn't realize you were.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones, I mean, we have cited people for it, so, I mean, clearly, the officers feel comfortable with it. It's just, I would say, not often. Any fix we could have, because it's a regular complaint as soon as people's windows are open and they want to be outside.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, my thought, we should have one of these noise ordinances updated, but not for Huron. It's not a reaction to Huron. I emailed a month before Huron Steam, so I'm just kind of picking up where I left off. It's not related to Huron.
I don't even think we can come up with wording that would address it, because it's unintentional and it was an accident.
Yeah, if I was being really honest as a police officer, I probably would have said, well, let's send code over and deal with Huron, because that's not something.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Sure.
I think that's called passing the buck.
it might be. Yeah.
There you go.
All right, well, thank you. That was all I had. I don't know if you
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Anthony, you're talking about the TAP grant with the schools, and just one question. A couple months ago, the board approved a law to reduce the speed limit on Loader Ave. Signs went up on Loader.
I haven't seen any
Yeah,
there.
I don't think I've seen any
Yeah,
there.
I haven't seen
Maybe we ought
that.
to get some.
It's been down there, too.
20-mile-an-hour signs up there.
20,
20, right? I think it was 20.
Signs for what, about?
Loader Ave, remember the board
Jenny Ave.
approved
Yeah,
a law to reduce the speed limit on Loader Ave?
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think there's signs up there.
I didn't see any, but I'll check again.
Okay,
Yes, his
Oh,
daughter
South
goes
Street.
there, so
yeah.
Yeah, I was just there today.
eyes on it right now. Okay. The SEP agreement.
Option agreement, okay.
That could,
I make a motion to accept the SEP agreement. Can you not?
I'll second that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Bob, real quick, we have the resolution and then the actual agreement. So the resolution is authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
That's
So
correct.
it's just a one motion.
Yes, another motion to approve the resolution in effect also approves the option agreement.
Okay, just want to make sure we did.
Yeah, and we did a seeker review on this already last time,
Right.
so we don't need to redo that.
Do I need to sign that now?
All right, that's for you, quick. Yeah, I'll put it there.
Britta,
Maybe stop in this.
Do you like her birthday cake?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
So we have motion and second, we'll do a roll call. We'll do trustee Dorner,
yes.
trustee Warner,
Yes.
trustee Burlingame,
Yes.
and trustee Connect.
Yeah.
Next three, actually, we're taking one at a time, but
Okay.
the next three came in a packet from wastewater chief operator Phil Grayson. This is for an engineering planning grant that we were awarded. And these are the documentation or the documents to accept the award and the seeker for that as well.
Can we do them all at once or separately?
We'll do them separately, they're all separate.
I'll make a motion to approve the local match engineering planning grant program.
I'll second that.
Motion is second on the roll call. Trustee Dorner?
Can I ask a question first? Before this grant came about, were there all these expenses part of the budget that would have come totally out of pocket from the village?
They weren't,
Mhm.
we do inflow and infiltration, the I&I there. We have a line in the budget that we address those issues with. But with this grant, we're able to do a lot more. We actually did a formal study of the whole system, and now these subsequent grants are going to be actually to perform some of the work that was identified in this study.
So actually help the bottom line?
Yep. It'll save money from us having to pay it out of the budget for work that we definitely have to have done.
Yes, for me.
Anthony, how did all these come about? Did you get these going, or?
The engineering planning grants are usually done with the wastewater chief, Phil Grayson, and the engineer firm that we have.
I mean, they initiated this?
Yeah. So they're like, a lot of these engineering firms, they kind of either have grant writers on staff or some of the actual engineers know these type of programs that are out. So as they come up every year, they let us know, hey, we should apply for this. A lot of times they help us with the application as well. So some are done, each grant is a little bit different. Some are done on a more general terms, but ones like these that are specific to a project or a department, we'll have an engineer or grant writers that work on them with us. I think it's trustee Warner.
So, yes.
And trustee Burlingame
Yes.
and trustee Connect.
Yes.
I'll make a motion for the grant agreement, New York State Environmental Facilities. And also,
I'll second that.
Second roll call, trustee Dorner,
Yes.
trustee Warner,
yes.
trustee Burlingame,
Yes.
trustee Connect.
Yeah.
I might as well finish out the packet. I'll
Okay.
make a motion for seeker type 2, Eileen.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second, roll call, trustee Dorner,
Yes.
trustee Warner,
Yes.
trustee Burlingame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just hearing of visitors.
We're looking good here, people. We're doing good. Sure. Absolutely. Come on up.
Yeah, we need to be able to catch your voice on the speaker.
Yeah, I know, I'm a little talker, sorry. So if you need me to repeat something, whatever.
Okay.
So I actually have an idea, touching back on the whole tree thing, and Arbor Day. So when Heather Staley was saying about the Tree City grant, I actually thought of an idea where if you could use like the $500 to purchase trees and then have families in the area plant them and designate an area. Because I really feel like just do the effort, and for those of you that have kids or grandkids, if you think, oh, hey, let's go see our tree. And as they get older, you know, they're gonna be like, oh, we planted that tree, and I really feel like it plants like community pride.
That's a good idea.
And I think like you can do an Arbor Day thing every year. I talked to other people about it, they thought it was a great idea. I talked to someone that has a family, they said they'd even be willing to pay for a tree or put like a donation towards the tree to do it.
Yeah, that is neat. Because it's kind of like growing roots in a way, you know? Yeah.
And like, you know, kind of get kids to stick around maybe, and I just think it like creates a lot of community and pride.
What is your name?
Oh, Ryan Lavich, 111 River Terrace.
That's neat. That is
That's
a good idea.
idea,
That's a
Ryan.
really good idea.
Actually, I was thinking about that on Main Street when I saw the small little gardens. You know, that's kind of cool for a family to take a garden and do their thing, whatever they wanted to do with it. It would be kind of good and personalize it.
My other thing is, I think it's like, it'll be designated spots for the allotted amount of trees they can afford. But I feel like the family should dig the hole and everything, and so that way the street department or whoever isn't taking on the bulk of the work. And we're not, you know, shifting work.
That's a big hole for it.
Well, I mean, it depends on the trees. I mean,
Yeah, that's
right. Well, you know what, we're having-
Right, they're like
Right.
$10.
Right, we're having that October 9th, the Arbor Day. It's going to be a very small celebration at the library. I'll take your name and number if you would write it down for me.
Okay.
And maybe I can share it with the committee at our next meeting.
Okay.
It should be tomorrow.
Okay, where do you want me to write?
We used to have a sheet over here.
Yeah, here, just write it on the back of this. It's fine, Ryan.
In the podium, actually, the sheet.
Yeah, that's a great idea, though.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's really so involved. Thank you.
No, speaking of trees, we need to address South Street at some point. We need, if we can't get grant money to cover new trees, we're gonna have to, step up to the plate.
You guys get going, you guys have to.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Ryan. Have a good night.
And replace these trees.
Yeah, I mentioned it before, I think we should do like a pilot program, if that's something we wanna do. You know, maybe that's be the first neighborhood to try by X number of trees, we allocate so much money for it, and, you know, we take it on ourselves and see how it works out. you know.
Okay.
I mean, we could,
I'll work
I guess
on that.
maybe
I'll work
spring
on
is
that with
probably
you.
the,
Yeah,
Nick and I will do it.
okay.
yeah, because if we can do that, that would be great. I know the residents of South Street, you know, they're itching for those trees.
Yeah. I don't know, I mean, I'd have to talk to somebody, I don't know. If compliance, true.
We just need to decide or find the right trees too.
Yeah.
Don't bulge the sidewalks.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a good area to start.
Leaves being a problem.
Well, this won't be a problem for 20 years. So.
Yeah, and you know, we should figure out how many trees we need or want. And you know, maybe not every resident wants a tree in front of their house. So
Yeah.
That's
kind of new to me,
That's
but
a good project. I'll gladly work on that with you.
I think it's a good idea.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
definitely.
We can go talk to them. Okay. Hearing if this,
Maybe instead of asking each one who wants one, maybe we should talk to them, come up with an overall plan to make the street look good, instead of a tree here and a gap and a tree. And let them in on the decision process. They're the ones that got hurt real bad on this thing.
And it would heal some wounds and
Yeah.
move forward, you know? That's nice.
I like this.
Me too.
Okay.
So what would we decide to do?
Nick and I are gonna work on it with Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Should do something
We'll
with
get
it.
together someday and
All right.
meet with Anthony.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, you got it.
I'm sure you wanna get street department too.
Yep.
Yep, we will.
All right, so we have hearing of visitors. If anyone on Zoom would like to speak during hearing of visitors, go to the reactions tab and click the raise your hand feature. And if anyone's joining on phone, that will raise hands as well. So we'll start off
phone here at 607-296.
The host would like you to unmute your microphone.
And just a reminder for
You are
everyone,
unmuted.
there's a 3-minute limit on the speaking.
Can you hear me okay? Hello? Hello? You can hear me?
Can you hear?
Yes. This is Bill.
We can hear you, Paul.
Thank you. This is Bill Huston. I just want to at the beginning say that I took offense to a board member last time that commented on what I had to say. According to open meetings law, the board can either have a hearing of the visitors or you cannot have a hearing of the visitors. In a hearing of the visitors, you have no subject matter jurisdiction over what I have to say. My time is my time. So I would please ask you to allow me to express myself, because the topics that I was expressing last time was a topic that has impacted every one of our lives in a very drastic way, and a topic of much discussion during these board meetings amongst yourselves. Burned dairy, okay, maybe you all have like a different, I know you want to be pro-business, but maybe you have a different idea of the kind of businesses that you want, your vision of what you want Endicott to be. Because that business is not really it's a low, it's a mini mart. It's a gas station. We don't need gas stations. I've been all through this before, but how about some kind of fund where we actually try to generate and encourage the kind of businesses that we want, like restaurants? How many restaurants closed on the avenue, like the Thai restaurant, or around town because of COVID? Let's take some of that COVID grant money instead of buying. I didn't hear what it was for. Some kind of generator for the police. I don't know what that's for. How about a business fund to try to help out the local businesses that are hurting because of this insanity? I'm hearing cameras. We got cameras. We need more cameras on the avenue. You know what we need on the avenue? We need trees. Everybody's talking about trees. It was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember now how long it's been since the last mayor took down 80, 8 times 10, a lot of trees on Washington Avenue, and the avenue is still barren, and you want to put up a bunch of cameras. So maybe your vision of Endicott is some kind of like a prison, like this cement and steel kind of place with surveillance cameras everywhere, and maybe that's supposed to make people feel safer. Cameras don't make me feel safer. It doesn't give me a nice feeling about the village that I live in. Trees and birds, that would really improve things. And it might even improve crime, too, if you give people a livable climate. I'm really interested in the free Wi-Fi. I'm interested in who the provider is. Could it be, Verizon? Is this a backdoor plan to get 5G in here? So I want more information on that. I'm going to be making some foils on that one. All of this money that goes through the Southern Tier, what is it? The Economic Development Council. What's the acronym? I can't even remember. There's 4 letters. All that money seems to be money for millionaires. That's what I call it. Can I just wrap up, please? Is my time over, or was that a 1-minute warning?
Yeah, your time. You got 20 seconds.
Okay, so COVID is a con. There is no virus. COVID is a con, and I don't want any money of our public tax money spent toward encouraging social distancing or contact tracing or stupid stuff, okay? I'm also just curious who Matt White is. If anybody has the 411 on Matt White, please contact me. Thank you.
Was that my comment that you were referring to at the last?
Yes, you raised defense at my speaking about COVID, despite the fact that you've talked about COVID for the last year and a half.
No, I didn't. No, I'm talking about burned dairy. You said you resented one of the board members who commented on your comments last meeting.
It wasn't burned dairy. I mentioned COVID is a con. There is no virus, and you talked for 10 minutes about the fact that I need to restrain my comments to village business.
Oh. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ellison, I think, is an alternate, right? We voted on
You're
her.
right.
On the planning board?
Yeah, we voted on that a couple meetings ago, I
Yeah,
think.
I remember that.
So that means we have two alternates then, because
Yeah.
Linda Barashka is an alternate as well.
And the planning board is full though, isn't it?
How about the zoning?
Currently, so.
So he would be on a waiting list.
Still on the board?
Who?
Cindy's on the planning board. So
She's still on the board.
she is, she didn't attend she hasn't attended the last couple of meetings.
All right, then I will,
Noted.
withdraw my comment.
But, you know, if something opens, then certainly, you know, I don't think we want to discourage anyone.
Well, I could give you the name if, it's apropos now, or wait.
Not on, in the meeting minutes. You can do that privately, more than likely.
Sure, that's right.
Second comment.
I wasn't gonna have any thought of something is that, as far as the planning board goes, I was at the planning board meeting for the burn dairy issue a week or so ago. And, there's two new people that were, I think one, this was their second meeting and that one was their first meeting. And my opinion is that it's a very good looking and very good sounding planning board. I'm very impressed with that planning board, as well as the zoning board. Doug Courtwright runs the zoning board, and they've got a group of 5 people on there that I think are very, very good. And also Doug runs the water board. So, I think he's doing a great job there. So I think we have 3 good boards, probably the best I've seen in 10 years.
Guess who brought him in? Me.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, Nick.
I would just like to say that at the art celebration, the Southern Tiersmen were excellent, and I hope we send them there
Yes.
because they did a phenomenal
We
job.
have a thank you note from them in here, in this.
I saw that, and that's
Yeah.
what kind of rang
Yeah.
my
Exactly.
refresh my memory there. In regards to the mayor's comments, I'm not going to address any of it because I feel that they were borderline slanderous towards us, and I want to move on. So, thank you.
And I did have one other comment. You're gonna make a copy of that for me?
Yeah.
You said that
If
before we leave?
I can.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
public, I mean, it's recorded
Okay,
on Zoom.
yep. No moving to executive session. Anybody want to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
No executive session?
No,
No.
no, we're not doing it.
Anyone?
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good meeting. Thank you.
Good job on the Zoom, man.
Recording stop.
Be sure to hit the like button, friends. Thumbs up this video and share it out, please. And don't forget to subscribe to the Bill Houston Podcast on YouTube. Click on the bell and select all notifications. And please donate if you can to support my work. Donations in any amount are greatly appreciated.